Hey everybody, I'm Paul Devlin, SUSE's Chief Customer Officer, and I'm so excited to be joined today by SAP's Global Partner Organization Senior Vice President, Tom Roberts. Thank you for joining with me today, Tom.
Paul, it's so great to be here, and we couldn't be prouder to be sponsors of SUSECON.
Thank you so much, Tom. SUSE has been a global partner of SAP's for more than 20 years. Could you reflect on that achievement over that time, Tom?
Yeah, Paul, I really think back of all the different innovations. Think about this. It goes all the way back to the late 90s. And, when you and I were real young.
Indeed.
And I think about some of the basics that people take for granted, like disaster recovery or zero downtime, things that were big challenges. And I think about all the work that's been done in the SAP Linux Lab on modern things that people care about right now. Think about OS images inside containers. The work that's come out of the SAP Linux Lab between the two companies, really groundbreaking and things that are super relevant today.
And Tom, we've always had a strong partnership and commitment to customer success. I wonder if you wouldn't mind saying a little bit about that.
The way we work together is all about making these customers happy. And sometimes they can be very demanding, and they've really pushed us to new limits with the innovations and the things that we've done together over the years. I think one of the newest things that we want to talk about, and we'll get into it a little bit later, is how SUSE has become one of our newest endorsed apps partners.
Sure, and Tom, that's something that we are really, really proud to be. So I look forward to getting into that. Tom, SAP is relying in many projects on open source technology. And your developer website states we believe in open source, open standards, and open APIs. And some people listening may find that strange and think about SAP as a proprietary software company. What is SAP's take on open source, Tom?
I was joking with you the other day, Paul, about how proprietary software and open source software is kind of like macaroni and cheese. Right? Tastes great. Everybody loves it, right? And you don't ever try to dissect it, what's better, the macaroni or the cheese. You just love them together. And
Yep.
I think that's how our customers feel about it. So, I think people would also be surprised to hear that SAP is one of the, if not the largest enterprise software contributors to the open source community. You can go out and look at it. Now, we, of course, aren't as prominent as SUSE themselves, but when it comes to enterprise software, we're at the top of the ranks.
Sure. And Tom, that really surprised me. I spent 8 years with SAP and didn't know that. I wonder, could you say a little bit about Gardner and a little bit about Kaima and how that's progressing?
Yeah, this is interesting. And again, we look at what our customers are looking for, right? So things like Gardner, where we see this need around, an abstracted API layer for an ability to really go across different cloud environments. I share with people, and it's not always well known, that the ERP system is really the backbone of an enterprise.
Sure.
And with our 400,000 plus customers and touching 77% of the world's transactions, the biggest thing that they struggle with are the integrations that come into the ERP. Now, as ERP goes into the cloud, of course, it's going to span and run into this hybrid environment.
Sure.
Where some things are still happening in private cloud or on-prem, some things are happening in public cloud, and you have different applications that have to come together. A typical ERP system has over 20,000 points of integration. So you can just imagine how that backbone is supporting as a nervous system almost for an entire company. And as we move into these things like Kaima and Gardner are helping us work with the customers to figure those things out. And that's our commitment into the open source community.
Sure. And Tom, it really is great to see one of the world's largest proprietary software companies adopt open source in this way. Yeah. If we move to the sales and marketing side, and we talked earlier about SAP endorsed apps, SLES for SAP, as well as two of our additional solutions, Live Patching and SUSE Manager, they recently joined the SAP store, which we're really proud about. But SLES for SAP has now become an SAP endorsed application. Could you highlight what that program is about for everybody listening in, Tom?
I can, Paul. And that's why I'm here. This is what I'm excited about. Think about the daunting task if you're a customer to find the best, the applications, or in this case the OS, that's the best out there that has the highest customer satisfaction. Well, you need a brand like SAP to help you have that curated experience. So SAP a number of years ago invested in putting together an online store, right? We used to call it App Center. Now it's just part of the SAP store. What's different about that is when customers search for SAP solutions, they also see our partners' solutions. And we've created a way for our customers to delineate what are the more successful solutions that SAP is backing. So you'll hear the term SAP endorsed apps. Mm-hmm. And what this does is it helps the customer in their selection process. Because what have we done together? Look, we've got this great 20-plus year history of innovation together. And along the way, we've created a lot of satisfied customers.
Indeed.
Right? So what's unique about endorsed apps is not only is a technical due diligence done, but also we talk to customers and get feedback from them in terms of their satisfaction and their happiness. And this is why we're particularly proud of SAP endorsed apps as an initiative.
Yeah, and as I said, Tom, as a program going through this with you, it's been a pleasure, and we are looking forward to the joint value that is going to deliver to our customers.
You know, Paul, if I could say one other thing,
please.
Is endorsed apps is also about how our field teams work together in front of the customer.
Sure.
Right? It's to make sure that they play together in a way that is going to create a good customer experience. And this is one of the other dynamics. So although we have these really strong technical history together, what we're building is really a sales and marketing to create a better customer experience, because at times it can feel very much that, software or technology vendors, it's hard to see them playing or working together, and that raises the complexity for the customer. So together we're trying to make that customer experience better.
Indeed. And thank you for that, Tom. Look, there's always a lot that goes on at SAP, but one of the newest initiatives is Rise with SAP. And I know that offering has driven a lot of interest in the market. Could you talk a bit about the scope of SAP Rise, Tom?
Yeah, and Rise is incredibly important. We've just had our first quarter of SAP Rise, and as you saw, as we reported our numbers, SAP had a knockout Q1, and in some respects, that's of course part of the momentum coming from SAP Rise. So what is SAP Rise? Again, putting the customer first, a scenario by which you can come to one company and get a complete answer no matter where you're at in your S/4HANA journey, right? If you're still running what we call ECC, which is the older ERP version, and you're moving to S4, it's that ability to have that cohesive journey, regardless of what cloud computing path you take, either public or private, and do that with SAP, knowing that you're going to get that unified support. I look at the open source community and what makes SUSE successful, and I think Rise has a lot of ingredients that come through when you think about how SAP has started to think about this. It's not necessarily so important which vendor you pick in that moment when you're buying. What happens after the sale that matters most. Sure. It's who's going to be there when you have those technical questions or you run into that inevitable support need. And this is where SAP has shined over the years, right? Customers bring their most difficult problems from a business perspective to us, and they expect us to act on these two planes, on the plane of being able to understand them from an industry perspective and how their business's process works, but also understanding how we're going to help them when they run into the inevitable technical jam, right? It's a complex world, as I mentioned earlier, and you need the best of the best to help you navigate and solve through that. And I think Rise delivers on that front because it brings that goodness of the history of SAP, of being there for our customers, and it also gets you that single point of contact to make sure you can navigate this challenging path forward with someone you trust.
And Tom, you mentioned this at the start there. It was really good to see a fantastic Q1 from SAP and Rise really starting to take off. And one of the things you mentioned as part of Rise was around open source technology. And we know it's having a bigger footprint in the market every day. And that's also the case for SAP customers. They're starting to embrace open source more and more as well. How do you see SUSE and SAP working together in the many years ahead of us, Tom?
Well, I think it's going to be a lot like the past. Think about this. The big flagship database at SAP is HANA.
Mm-hmm.
HANA now, surprisingly, and I had to go back and look the other day, HANA's over 10 years old now, and I can remember the day it came out. It was really groundbreaking. Here's this highly scalable database, columnar database, super blazing fast, and now it's already a decade old. I remind people that HANA only runs on Linux.
Yep.
Right? That was a decision that was made by SAP, and why? It's some of those innovations that we talked about, really come back to deliver some of the value inside HANA. But then our flagship product, S4, only runs on HANA, right? Mm-hmm. So if you start at the very root and you come all the way up, you realize that we're going to continue to innovate at an incredible pace as we have in the past, and really bring the best of the best. I mean, nothing else in the marketplace can do what S4 can, right? And if you roll it all the way back as to what it's built on, it is standing on Linux.
Uh-huh. And Tom, we talked about Kubernetes and containerization, yeah? And we're also jointly working together. I wonder if you could say a little bit about that and where SAP is heading. I know Gardner, Kaima will be big parts of that.
Yeah, I mean, we continue to make these joint investments together in the SAP Linux Lab, and it comes from this trying to solve customer problems, right? The future around containers and Kubernetes is an important one. I look at it maybe as I have two aspects to my career, which is started in technology and have moved more into alliances and the sales and marketing arm. And when I think about what were some of the most difficult problems, were having portability, right? Mm-hmm. Avoiding vendor lock-in is so important in order to have things move forward. And I think you've seen with the choices that SAP has made that we're really committed to that. And we recognize that our customers have already made a host of decisions, and they're always looking for a path forward. And you can't just ignore decisions that are made. And that requires that we have an investment and that we support these things, because it's the one constant is that complexity and change is just going to keep coming.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Tom. Look, in our time together, we've covered a lot, right? We've gone from mac and cheese to SAP's use of open source, the relationship with SAP and SUSE together, the way that SAP is embracing this no vendor lock-in through Kubernetes and containerization. And we've touched on SAP Rise. And again, Tom, congratulations on the success that has had in Q1. And I know, we'll be moving forward as well. And I think everybody knows with SUSE, we recently closed the acquisition of Rancher, which is our market-leading open source company providing Kubernetes and container solutions at scale. And Tom, it's been a pleasure for me getting to know you, particularly these past couple of years, although we were colleagues together for a long time. And I really want to thank you for your time today. From a SUSE perspective, we're extremely excited about continuing to build on that 20-plus year partnership, where we know together we can provide the smoothest journey towards the intelligent enterprise for our customers, Tom.
Yeah, Paul, I think most people will say that the past is usually a pretty good predictor of the future. Sure. And our past together it's remarkable. I think that means that the future has a very high probability of being remarkable as well, right? We have some of the best minds. Both companies are incredibly customer focused, always listening, always reacting and trying to lead in terms of what's next and anticipating where the market is going so that we can be there for our customers. And I couldn't be prouder to be partners with you in this journey.
Tom, thank you again. And just a call to action for anybody listening. Please join SAP and SUSE in our other partners. We've got about 35 different sessions and demos during SUSECON, and we look forward to seeing you there. Tom, again, thank you so much. This is a partnership that we are extremely proud of, and we look forward to the next 20 years' success as well. Tom, thank you.
Great being with you today, Paul.